Hey folks, it is 41 degrees. I just pulled up here on location at the Hall River. All right, it's gonna be cold. When the wind blows, it is quite brisk. A nice, beautiful, sunny winter day. And let's talk about surviving a cold weather swim. Whew. There's a rule of thumb out there for people being near and on the water that we've all grown up to know, and that is if the air temperature and the water temperature added together don't add up to be 100, then that can be a potentially deadly situation. So what we have today is 41 degrees air, 50 degree water. We're right in the sweet spot. So surviving any situation is usually all about being prepared, and then some about what you know. And the first step to surviving cold weather swim is having the correct clothes. This is all synthetic polyester. There's no cotton. You never want to be near water wearing any kind of cotton. They call it white death. So really, it's not like there's some magical piece of clothing where you can just snap your fingers and, oh, hey. All right, well, maybe there is a magical piece of clothing you can wear to survive a cold weather swim. All right, so I know the dry suits are expensive. I went years before I bought one. Now that I've had one, I will never go back, and I dare say that if you buy one for cold weather kayaking, you also will never look back. There really is no other way to responsibly paddle in any kind of cold weather than having a dry suit. It totally 100% eliminates the exposure. You just don't get cold. Now, you still have to wear a little layering on the inside, and basically I just put on this dry suit virtually over what I was just wearing, and I could paddle all day in this and be perfectly comfortable. Whitewater, rain, swimming, no swimming, bring it. Whatever happens, at the end of the day, I'm gonna get out, unzip this dry suit, and I'm gonna be bone dry. But they're so expensive, I know, but is your life worth 500 bucks? Mine is. Also, if you ever do have the misfortune of having an unintended cold weather swim, not just kind of cold, but cold enough where it can be dangerous, the second you hit that water, you will be reevaluating your life choices, specifically the one when you decided not to buy the dry suit. The other thing you have to ask yourself is, do I want to paddle year round? Because a lot of people will hang this stuff up when the cold weather comes, and there's a whole lot of good paddling to be had, and some of the paddling is better in the winter than it is through the summer months. And in whitewater specifically, that's the case. Most of the great paddling happens on a regular basis during the late winter, especially the early spring when the thaw out happens. But for any paddling, there's a whole lot of paddling, beautiful paddling to be had, even in the cold months. You just have to get a little bit of gear. All right, so I'm out here on the water. I've got my life jacket on, I got my dry suit on, I'm in the kayak, and now it's time for secret number 2 on how to survive a cold weather swim. And that secret is to not swim. And here's what I mean. You may think you love kayaking, you may just have the best time you've ever had in a kayak, but you have no idea how much you can love kayaking until you learn how to roll your boat. Way better than swimming. I've survived a winter swim. So I figure this is as good a time as any to show you how to properly get the water out of your boat after you bring it to shore. You don't need pumps, you don't need sponges. All that is great, but just to get the water out, watch the technique. But just get the bow up on the land, raise your stern out of the water, lower it, raise it, lower it a few times, and your boat's pretty much empty. You may have 8 to 10 ounces of water left in there. You can deal with that. I see a lot of people spending a lot of time with pumps and sponges and stuff like that. And if you want to get the last little bit out, that's what that's good for. Okay guys, so I just took off the dry suit. As you can see, it's soaking wet, but I am bone dry. there's literally no moisture on my clothing whatsoever. And I'm ready for the rest of the day, a drive home, whatever you want to bring, I'm ready to do it. I'm gonna set this down and we're gonna show you another way to survive a winter swim. One that takes a little more doing. All right, like I talked about before, the key to surviving this thing is gonna be preparedness. And you need to have your life jacket on at all times. You need to go with a group. You need to just be smart. But if you take an unintended swim and you're not in a dry suit, you're gonna need to move fast, and there's some things you're gonna need to have ready to make this as painless as possible. Let me show you what I bring. If I am on a trip where there's gonna be people that do not have the proper gear, and now bear in mind, this won't be you know, life-threatening cold. This is just gonna be colder than you wanna be wet. And you can still get hypothermic, you know, in conditions much warmer than you think. So this is the kit. I have a fleece beanie in here, and I have a camp towel. Also in here is a giant level 7 suit. Now this is a military Arctic suit. It is very lightweight, but it is very, very warm, and it will insulate you even when wet. So this is so big that it will fit anybody on the trip. It's not my size. I mean, you could sit a 2XL guy in here and he'll have room to zip up in this thing. So what you're gonna wanna do is, if you get wet, this is gonna be in the back of my boat, always in an easy place to get to it. So in the rear hatch on these trips, when I have this, that's the first thing you can grab when you open the rear hatch. Couple things to start off with. As soon as you hit the water, you're not instantly going to die and drown. You're just going to be very, very cold, and reevaluating your life decisions that led you to the point to paddle without a dry suit. You're going to have a little time, but you're going to need to move kind of quick to make this as painless as possible. The first thing you do when you dump, you want to collect all your gear if you can. If you're in a dangerous situation with current, you need to get to shore. If you're in flat water like this, you need to grab your boat and your paddle. You're gonna need that to carry on down the river, and it's gonna have your life-saving stuff in there. Just to let you know what I'm about to do. I'm just wearing clothes, nothing special. I'm gonna jump out in there. I wanna flip the boat and pretend like I can't roll. Got no skirt on. I'm just gonna swim. I've gotta collect myself, realize I'm not dead, but then realize I need to get out of the water. Grab the boat, grab my paddle, bring it all into shore, and go quickly, get into that, get my bag out, and then start the process of getting dried off and getting the new clothes on. All right, here we go. Got my Club 9 hat on. I'm gonna need it today. Whew. It is not warm. It's cold. Got my bag. All right, I am going to do this just off camera. I hope you understand. Okay guys, I survived my winter swim. This suit is ridiculously large. I don't know if you can see the whole thing here, but like I say, you can get anybody in it. You don't have to wear anything underneath it. Instantly warm, but it still insulates you when you're cold and wet. It's instant heat. I got out of the water quickly, organized, not panicked, but you want to move fast. You don't want that core temperature to get down to too quickly. And while you still have motor skills, you need to get your bag out, get everything, get to a place where you can get dried off real quick and change. This is something I always have on me for anybody in our group. If they go down, they all know the plan. We're gonna get out, we're gonna get the guy dry, we're gonna put this suit on him. In addition to that, I also carry a quart of lighter fluid in a plastic bag, and in my life jacket there's always a fire starter, a waterproof fire starter. So while someone's assisting, getting them out, as soon as we hit land, someone's helping them get out of the clothes, helping them get dried off. The other people in the group, if there are others, are just putting a giant pile of sticks together, hitting it with that lighter fluid, get a fire if need be. You may not need the fire, but if you do, you need to have all that stuff ready. Now you saw everything we had to go through to get to the state where I'm at now. And then what? Now I got soaking wet clothes. I got to get this boat dried out. I got to get back in a wet boat. Got to stay warm. I got to keep moving down the river. Craziness. It's craziness. Go buy a dry suit. Now, as you saw with the dry suit, as soon as I hit the shore, I was ready to get back in and keep moving. 100% warm, not wet at all. It's the way to go. But if you have an unintended swim, you need to practice this in your off time so that you're not practicing it for the first time on the river when you could get yourself in trouble. That's not the first time I've done that. It shouldn't be the first time you do it in the wild as well. Now, I could have moved a little slower. When I was changing, I was really okay. The problem is going to be staying in the water longer and then getting to land and not being able to get dried off and get warmed up. So have a plan, practice it. This suit stays in the back of my boat. There's another couple guys that'll have gear on them, so no matter who swims, we need to have a way to get warm clothes on anybody who swam, whether or not we have that person's gear or not, because sometimes the boats get washed or they get stuck on a rock in the middle of the river. A lot of things can happen out there. Have a plan, be ready. So to recap, the number one thing to survive a winter swim is to have a dry suit. Number two thing is to not swim. Learn how to roll. Keep your boat going, keep moving down the river, so much better. But if that's not gonna happen, always be wearing your life jacket and have your immersion plan ready. Don't take any chances, have it ready, practice it a few times, understand how it's gonna be. If your core temperature goes down, you'll start losing motor skills. You need that practice. Thanks for watching.